Our new CBS News battleground tracker shows that Hillary Clinton is 14 points behind Bernie Sanders in the state of New Hampshire. On the Republican side, it's Donald Trump who's on top with 32%. Ted Cruz follows with 14, Marco Rubio at 13, and Chris Christie has moved up into fourth place with 11% support. The rest of the field is in single digits. Turning to Iowa, it's Senator Ted Cruz who's taken the lead with 40% support. Donald Trump is at 31, Marco Rubio is at 12, and Ben Carson has plummeted down to 6%. The rest of the field is at 2% or below. And CBS News Elections Director Anthony Salvanto joins us with new battleground tracker poll results. All right, Anthony, let's start in Iowa. Ted Cruz is on the rise. What's behind that?
It's a really direct transfer from Ben Carson's voters to Ted Cruz. You might recall earlier this fall, Ben Carson was really up there. In fact, he was tied with Donald Trump at one point. Well, as his voters have fallen away, they've moved to Ted Cruz in much larger numbers than to anybody else. In fact, we actually re-interviewed those same voters, and they told us that in larger numbers, they were choosing Cruz. Some of them went to Trump, some of them went to Rubio, but Cruz has really gotten the lion's share there. And, you know, it looks like evangelical voters really asserting themselves here, as they do in Iowa. They make up the bulk of Republican caucus goers. And if you look at what people say is their number one issue, well, for most it's terrorism, and there's a lot that say the economy. But for those voters who say that faith and values and religious matters are number one, that's where Cruz really has an enormous lead over Trump. That's the difference.
So if Cruz is pulling from the evangelicals, taking them away from Ben Carson, what's happening to the Trump vote? Is he pretty much staying solid?
It's rock steady. You know, you look at those same individuals again, re-interviewed, they stay with Donald Trump. And, you know,
And you've been interviewing them over a period of time. In other words, there's been, you know, challenge after challenge to Donald Trump that could knock them off, but no, they're sticking with him.
They stick with him, and you know, as you've seen in your focus groups and others, you know, everybody says, oh, Donald Trump says something controversial, he must go down. Surely Donald Trump will go down. Well, he doesn't go down, and his voters stay with him. And in fact, Republicans in Iowa say that in general, they are glad he says the things that he says. They think, even if they don't agree, although many do, that they're glad these things are out there and being discussed.
So, and that's happening with him in New Hampshire as well as Iowa. It's pretty much the case with Donald Trump everywhere. What else are you seeing in New Hampshire?
New Hampshire, Donald Trump still at number one, still holding steady. You do see another move there, a little bit to Cruz from Carson, but you've got Rubio then in contention. He's in double digits there. He's in double digits everywhere. And now Chris Christie. Hey, he has doubled his support from last time in New Hampshire. So he's in that second tier there now. A little bit of evidence that retail politics is helping him, people who say they like seeing the candidates in person, but also he, along with Donald Trump, seen as effective. That's how they describe him. That's different from, say, Marco Rubio. His calling card there in New Hampshire looks like electability. And where that's different from effective is that's a little bit of how you define mainstream, in that as voters start to play political consultant, you know, and they look ahead to that general election, they're looking for somebody who's electable, whereas that disaffected group of Republicans who think that government doesn't work anymore, that's where you go for the effective candidate. They think they can get conservative things done.
Although I wonder if in an age of jitteriness and fright that we've seen in response to these terror attacks, whether effectiveness is also about who's going to keep me safe as opposed to who can get elected.
It certainly is. And there are some numbers that really jumped out here where 9 in 10 Republicans say that they feel the U.S. is becoming more dangerous and insecure. I mean, we just don't see those kinds of overwhelming numbers almost no matter what you ask. So it speaks to your point about that anxiety, but also that's layered on top of economic insecurity too, which has been throughout this whole campaign. Again, 8, 9, and 10 of these Republican voters say they feel the U.S. economic system doesn't help them. And when you think that the system doesn't work, it's not just that things are going in the wrong direction. That's where you go to a candidate that might say, change the whole system, blow it all up.